For just the second time in 12 years, researchers have investigated the plight of Australians living with a psychotic illness, and it's a mixed picture. Apparently, life for the roughly 64,000 people affected has improved over the past decade, but loneliness and isolation are still substantial problems. Mary Guerin reports.
I call us the invisible minority. A lot of us can't speak out because you lose your confidence with this illness. It takes away your confidence. It just shatters your soul. It shatters who you are. And I was really sent into the world.
Sandy Jeffs is one of the most articulate correspondents to ever report from the fractured landscape of psychosis, a land that generally robs its inhabitants of self-expression.
It's a very unintellectual experience. It's a very base, primal, awful experience.
Sandy Jeffs often shares her experience of schizophrenia here with mental health workers, and 12 years ago she spoke to this program.
I had these delusions about being evil and voices telling me I was evil. Hasn't changed much, has it?
Since we spoke to Sandy Jeffs, she's published 3 books of poetry and a highly commended memoir. But if you ask her if life's improved in that time, she's ambivalent.
If you count that as success, well, it sort of is, but it's always done within the shadow of this illness.
And so it is that the launch of the second report card on the lot of Australians living with psychotic illnesses has also met with mixed feelings.
So many people fall through the cracks in the system because there are so many cracks to fall through.
The national study has some positive findings. More people have experienced periods of good recovery between multiple episodes of psychotic illness, 29.3% up from 21.3%. And the number of people deteriorating due to chronic illness has halved since 1998, down to 11.3%. Involuntary admissions to hospital have decreased by a third to 22.7%. But as always, questions lie behind the raw statistics.
I think the medications have flatlined the illness so that we might not be having as many frequent florid blowouts of our illness which require hospitalisation. I think a lot of people are living in a chronic state of low-level ongoing illness.
Fewer people in hospital may mean that people are not getting the care they need. I prefer to think that it means that there are fewer people becoming acutely unwell, although we do continually hear from people who say they're not able to get care when they need it.
There are still some very, very stark messages about the degree of debilitation involved in psychotic illness. Some very low levels of employment, extraordinary levels of social exclusion.
And then there are the physical problems. Smoking rates remain very high, on average 21 cigarettes a day. Worryingly, half the people with psychotic illnesses abuse or are dependent on alcohol or drugs, up from 30% a decade ago. And almost half are obese, compared with 21% in the general population.
Unfortunately, it's the neuromedications that are often more implicated with the overweight and the obesity, and we've really got to get our heads around that one and look at better ways of helping people to retain a healthy normal weight.
Perhaps the most chilling number in the survey is this: 13.3% of people with psychosis report having no friends at all. And it's social problems caused by mental illness that hinder recovery from it.
Why are 80% of us still on a government pension for our main source of income? Why are only 17% of people with a psychotic illness in a de facto or married relationship? Does this suggest to me a happy, healthy cohort of people?
What do you think lies behind all of those statistics?
The incredible amount of pain that still exists in the community caused by psychosis.
David Braniff counts himself lucky. The friends he made during his civil engineering degree here at the University of Melbourne helped him on the road to recovery. He was 25 before being diagnosed with schizophrenia.
You can feel so alone too, that you don't really even relate to yourself anymore.
David Braniff says if it weren't for his mother's tireless work for more than a year from her home in a Victorian country town, he wouldn't have received proper help.
And it shouldn't have to be that hard. The Australian mental health system is wonderful, but it is not working in unison. All the different areas, all the different programs, all the different NGOs, all the government bodies and whatever, they're not working as one.
The government says a program starting in July next year will provide a one-stop shop model of service delivery. In the meantime, Sandy Jeffs hopes greater awareness can help dissolve the isolation so many feel.
We mustn't make the assumption that we're all down and out, that we're all incapacitated, that we're all hopeless.
And for information about mental illness, go to www.sane.org. Mary Gearan with that report.